Welcome back. Now, the Department of State Services, DSS, has said it is aware of plans by subversive elements to disrupt the inauguration of the next president and governors on May 29th across the country. Spokesperson of the service, Peter Afunaya, in a statement on Thursday, said the aim is to undermine security agencies' efforts at ensuring peaceful ceremonies as well as creating panic and fear among members of the public. The service advised Nigerians to adhere strictly to security and civil protocols during the events. Afunaya added that unauthorized and unaccredited persons are warned to stay away from restricted and certain designated areas at event venues. Meanwhile, Force Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Dejobi, in a statement on Thursday, disclosed that ahead of the May 29th inauguration of the President-elect Bola Tinubu, the police have deployed personnel to protect the presidential villa, provide security at and around the Eagle Square in Abuja, and man all Nigerian borders, seaports, and airports. He added that operatives would equally be deployed to man the entry and exit points of the capital city and other critical government installations. Let's discuss this further now. Jaye Geskia, who is a security expert and chairman, Partnership Against Violent Extremism, joins us from Nasarawa State. Mr. Geskia, thank you very much for coming on the program. When you get this kind of information from security agencies, as a security expert, how exactly do you feel and what do you think?
Thank you very much for having me. So the first thing is that if you have also been listening to chatters on social media and in several other spaces, I mean, there have been conversations about whether or not these inaugurations should go on or not go on. And so within that context, if I was in the security services, that would be an indication for us to at least begin to try to dig deeper and to ascertain the veracity of some of these threats. And so hearing this and from two agencies, from the DSS as well as from the police, what this means is that they have some form of information and most likely credible from credible sources in terms of attempts or to disrupt proceedings on May 29th across the country, and possibly this would be in the form of protests, but I mean. Protests are okay, but sometimes when it's a form of protest that actually is organized in such a manner as to disrupt the actual event, then it can pose a security threat. Right. There is also the other part of it in the sense that there are people who may be planning protests of such nature, but there are also people who may be looking for opportunities to take advantage of such protests to also undertake the various forms of nefarious activities, and so that's why you would find that in this case, these two security agencies have come out and issued some warnings and so on and so forth. So you would see that they have not said that people should not move around the country, but they have just said that if you have no business in certain designated areas, that you shouldn't be in those designated areas because they have some credible information that people are trying to breach those designated areas and to cause some form of mayhem.
Now, as an expert on violent extremism now, I'm just wondering, why, for instance, because there must be a reason why maybe some extremist group may want to seize an opportunity like this to strike. Why would they want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, so basically for extremist groups, a number of things, factors determine when they act and how they act. One of these is visibility, is the greatest level of exposure and visibility, but also a time when they also think that there could be some lacunas in the security architecture, and an occasion like this inauguration that is happening across the federation, at least 29 of the states, and then the federal capital, means that security deployment, the security personnel are going to be deployed. It also means that some of these elements, violent extremist groups may think that security that the security architecture will be overstretched because it is across the country. And then the third component of it, which is the most is that then striking on a day like that gives visibility and and a level of exposure, because what the people simply want is notoriety, and that's why occasions such as that are occasions where that violent extremist groups may consider to be an occasion to also to act. And in this particular instance now, given the level of the degree of acrimony that went into the elections itself, and also the level of the degree of acrimony that also greeted the outcome in some quarters, violent extremist groups may think that this is that this represents an opportunity to do something in a manner that they also think that they would get some support for doing it, because of that that context of what they think is a divided populace. And so that's also why in this kind of situation it's important for these security agencies to also show and demonstrate that they are actually aware of the situation, that they are on top of the situation, but more importantly, that they are actually putting measures and mechanisms in place to ensure that they can thwart this. And so that's why these strategic deployments that are happening now in terms of the places where the security personnel are going to prioritize for deployment are also being made. And that's also why the land borders have become key in this, because of the cross-border the crossings of violent extremist groups, but also the gateways into the capital city, Abuja itself, is also very important, because again, if you are going to take advantage of an event in Abuja and you're coming from outside Abuja, you would need to coming through these gateways. And so that's why these deployments are being made. And it's a good thing that this is being communicated and communicated clearly and early, so that citizens are aware, and so that
but you don't think this could cause panic? You don't think it could cause panic?
No, because of the way they have communicated it, it's not. I mean, they could simply have said that terrorist groups are going to, launch attacks, and that people should stay at home, and then that would have caused panic. But the way in which they have announced is that they are aware that there may be some of these things that are happening, but that they are also, taking the necessary steps to curtail the situation. And then they're just saying to citizens that go about your duties and the rest of that, but that if you have an intention to commit a nefarious act, that the security agents are also prepared for you. So I think it's a balanced communication in terms of the way they have done this, in terms of their strategic communications.
All right, just before I let you go, the outgoing government did its best now in terms of tackling security, no question about that. But then we also cannot deny the fact that insecurity is still a problem in the country that the incoming government will have to inherit. For you as a security expert, what are those key areas in terms of insecurity now that you think this incoming government should hit the ground running to try to solve?
Okay, thank you very much for asking that particular question. What's been missing really, but it's been on the cards, but what's been really missing in terms of taking any real step to do this is the gap between the commitment and the convictions of the security agencies, but also the confidence and convictions of citizens in communities. And so that gap in terms of trust, which is why sometimes communities actually would prefer to deal with the devil that they know instead of the angel that they are not particularly sure of in terms of in terms of harboring these violent extremist groups for their own security. But in doing that, it becomes a big problem for the whole country. So what I would expect is that to actually now be to be more serious about community policing. As an approach, to security, ensuring that communities take the lead in their own in ensuring their own security, and that there are effective means and channels for communities to collaborate and work together, with security agencies. So if you want to look at it from the military art perspective, you'll be saying that something like the civilian joint task force, but that is not now a fighting machine. That is like a policing machine, a machinery, community policing machinery that works alongside, the security agencies. One other thing that this government must do is to avoid the temptation, the incoming government, to avoid the temptation of continuing to inadvertently undermine the internal security agencies, in particular
how do
the
you
police, and continue to promote the military. Every effort must be made to ensure that internal security truly becomes police-led, and that the police is equipped, and restructured and reformed to actually take that lead. We should see a rollback of military task forces and the rest of that over the next few cases, over the next few years. And then I think that we should also see a separation between counterterrorism and the countering violent extremism. I think that countering violent extremism should be put purely in the purview of internal security. And so it should largely be led by internal security agencies, while the countering terrorism, which is the military part, should continue to be led by the military and the defense, so that we can begin to have this separation of powers. And we should also have a strategic harmonization of mandate and deployment between the police and the civil defense. I would hope to see a situation where it's possible for us to have the delineation of duties markedly between the police and the civil defense. Let one of these agencies take responsibility, clear responsibility for urban and built-up areas, and let the other agency take responsibility fully for rural areas. And that way, we can more strategically be able to deploy what we have and equip them accordingly.
Jaya Geskia, security expert and chair, Partnership Against Violent Extremism. Thank you very much for coming on the program, and thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Opinions are free. Facts are sacred. But truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.